Be careful of Montessori. It may impact your child. A lot of parents don't know this, but Montessori is actually the key to a better life for your child. The education system is failing, except for one: Montessori. Montessori is not just about wooden toys or quiet classrooms. It is a philosophy for life. Learn more about it here. Welcome to the I Am Education podcast, where we explore transformative ideas for parents, educators, and anyone passionate about shaping the future of education and humanity. Join us as we dive into the latest insights, practical tools, and inspiring conversations that empower both children and adults to thrive. Let's unlock the potential of education together. I Am Education, for the love of learning. Welcome to today's episode. I'm so excited to dive into one of my favorite topics: Montessori. And today I want to talk about some secrets that every parent should know, and whether you're familiar with Montessori or just curious about it, or maybe you think it's a Montosaurus, a dinosaur. I know some people have said that to me too. Today's conversation will give you some practical, insightful tips you can use for your child at home, and also to nurture your child's development. And so let's get started by debunking some common myths about Montessori. And then I'll share some practical tips you can implement today to support your child in a Montessori-inspired way. Montessori is not a cult. And before we get into these secrets, I want to start by addressing some more of those misconceptions. Many people hear the word Montessori and think it's just for wealthy families, or that it's too loose and unstructured. But here's the reality. Montessori is not only for privileged kids. Montessori is about creating a prepared environment for the child to explore and learn. And you don't need fancy toys or expensive materials. You see, the essence of Montessori is giving children the freedom to learn through experience. And that can happen anywhere, even at home. Another myth is that Montessori is unstructured and way too free. However, Montessori is actually highly structured, but the structure is designed to be child-centered. The child leads the learning, but within carefully designed environments, known as the prepared environment, we support independence and growth. It's a big difference. Another myth is it's only for young children. And while Montessori education is often associated with early childhood, its principles apply to all ages. Montessori continues through elementary and beyond, with a focus on fostering independence, responsibility, and curiosity throughout life. You see, what it is about Montessori that makes it so powerful for children's development is these key principles that every parent should understand. Children learn best through hands-on experience. Montessori education allows that and encourages it. It encourages children to use all their senses as they learn, and instead of being told how something works, they discover it on their own. So, for example, rather than memorizing maths facts, also known as rote learning, children in Montessori environments use physical materials like counting beads to understand the concept of numbers. Concrete materials versus abstract. I don't mean actual concrete. I mean something that they can physically hold, versus the rote learning of the abstract mind, which is the sums just as sounds. And so this self-paced learning is another key of Montessori principles, and each child is allowed to progress at their own pace. And this reduces pressure and comparison. You see, your child is unique, and Montessori honors that uniqueness by giving them the time they need to master skills at their own rhythm. Where in your life do you work as an adult only with people your age? Everyone I've ever asked that question to is nowhere. And that's because in society, once you're out of school, you're learning and working with people of all ages. And so what Montessori allows for is those multi-age environments. That means that your child can actually go at their own pace. They have the chance to be the leader. They have the chance to be led. And nobody knows whether they're better or worse than other people. It's another reason why Montessori doesn't go into competition. And so how you can apply some of these principles or secrets at home, I want to get practical. And so you can easily implement at home the ability to prepare the environment. And a prepared environment is a space where everything is accessible to your child. and it's designed to foster independence. For example, in the kitchen, have child-sized utensils and allow them to help with food preparation. In their bedroom, have their clothes within reach so that they can dress themselves. Montessori encourages the idea of freedom within limits, where your child has the freedom to choose, but it's within boundaries that you have set. So, for example, if you have a playroom at home, do you have shelves or is everything in toy boxes? And your child is looking for this one green car, and to find it, they empty everything out looking for it, and it drives you up the wall? And I wonder what would happen if you had shelves and then you had trays or baskets, and cars go in this place, on this tray or this basket, and that's where they would find it, and it goes back there each and every time. You see, when you prepare your environment, it may seem like it's a lot of effort at the beginning, but it actually makes parenting easier. It actually makes teaching easier. And so where in your home, where in your space, and remember Montessori started in the slums in Italy. You don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. You might want to make it aesthetically pleasing, and it is important that environment is aesthetically pleasing. But you can do that from an op shop. You can do that from donations. There are schools and houses in Africa where women are making the materials themselves out of wood and having results with their children. Please know that to do Montessori at home, it does not mean you have to spend thousands of dollars. And another tip on how to bring Montessori into your home and into your life, encourage the independence. You see, Maria Montessori's goal is to empower children to do things for themselves. A phrase you'll hear often in Montessori is, help me do it myself. And so instead of doing things for your child, help them learn how to do it. This builds confidence and problem-solving skills. And sometimes in the morning you might be running out the door because you're late. And so you end up just putting your child's shoes on, or you pick them up and you run them to the car and they don't get to walk, or you carry their bag and they don't. All of these are opportunities for independence. Yet because of how you've designed your life, your child is being hindered, and that's because of you. And so where in your life, where in your home, can you encourage independence? And this can be from as early as 12 months old. And can you foster concentration? And one of the Montessori secrets to learning is developing concentration. You see, children in Montessori environments are encouraged to focus on one task at a time. At home, you can support this by giving your child uninterrupted time to play, work, or explore a task. Avoid rushing them or interrupting them, and watch how deeply they engage with their activity. Now, you may be listening to this podcast while you're driving or walking or while you're working on your computer. You see, you're multitasking. But I'm wondering how much of what you're hearing right now you're taking in versus how much work you are currently doing. And so as an adult, we can have different filters and we can create this ability to multitask at some points. But for a child, in those first 5 years, the ability to focus, having the chance to focus, instead of being rushed from one thing to the other, it's being taken away from them. Technology is also impacting this. Now, I'm an advocate for technology. I'm not against it. But the thing is, are you actually creating spaces and time for your child to have that uninterrupted work cycle? And in Montessori, we talk about work being play. Play is the work of the child. So I want to speak into the role of the parent in Montessori education. And one of the biggest secrets of Montessori is understanding your role. Be an observer, not a director. In Montessori, the role of the adult is to observe rather than direct. Our guides or our educators aren't standing at the front of the classroom directing and telling children what to do. They are observing and working with children one-on-one or in small groups when they are ready. You're not there to tell your child what to do or to provide constant instruction. Instead, you create the environment and you watch how your child naturally interacts with it. Sometimes I'll tell parents, you literally have to sit on your hands, like actually, because you really, really want to help them while they're doing that puzzle. But you help them and you create learned helplessness. And your child will think that they are not able or not good enough to figure out the problem themselves. And I can tell you that what you see out in this world at the moment with teenagers and adults who are unable to solve problems, it's because too many parents got involved and never created the opportunity for their child to interact or solve the problems themselves. Observing without interrupting, it gives you insights into how your child learns, what actually interests them, and where they may need support. Instead of you just assuming, instead of you just comparing your child to your friend's child when you're having wine and cheese together on a Friday night, what if you got to see the magic of your child? And the only way you get to see that is through observing. Observation, not assumption. Observation, not judgment. It's also important to provide guidance without praise. And this might sound strange, but Montessori encourages the use of encouragement over praise. And so rather than saying good job or you're so smart, focus on the effort. You worked really hard on that puzzle. What this does is it helps your child develop internal motivation rather than seeking external validation. When a child relies on praise, they start to perform for approval rather than learning for the love of it, for the joy of it. Shifting to encouragement fosters self-motivation, which is a powerful life skill and one that so many teenagers and so many adults don't have. And so what would it look like? What would intrinsic motivation look like for your child long term? How could it change their life? And are you willing to put the work in now so that they have that forever? And so they don't need to know that they're doing a good job because they already know. They don't need to be told. It's phenomenally powerful. It's a game changer, but it is one that is more difficult than you think as a parent to actually implement. And another tip is to allow time for unstructured play. You see, Montessori values structured activities, but also recognize the importance of unstructured play. Allow your child to explore freely with no set goals or outcomes. And this kind of play develops creativity, problem solving, and innovation. And so one of the things that I really advocate for all humans, not just children, is the ability to create. The arts is one of the first subjects or areas in education that gets cut when funding is lesser than it needs to be. However, it is in the arts that we go to, and COVID told us or showed us this, whereas it was the arts that actually got us through the emotional turmoil of COVID globally. However, they were the first for their funding to get cut. And so the ability to create, the ability to reach paints, to reach Play-Doh, to have craft activities and glue accessible so the child can choose it, not you just getting it down. This can allow them to have that unstructured play and innovate and create without you. I can hear some of you freaking out about the paint being accessible for your child. Obviously, look at the range and ages of the children you have, but it will make a massive difference if the child doesn't need you before they can create. And another Montessori secret is the focus on emotional intelligence and self-regulation. I am huge on emotional intelligence. I am huge on people, adults and children, understanding the vast array of emotions that we feel instead of just happy, sad, angry. Montessori encourages children to be aware of their emotions and learn how to express them. We have an entire curriculum area called Grace and Courtesy. We literally teach children how to close a door. Because when all of a sudden your child's slamming a door, where do you think they learnt that? when they're angry. When they see you angry, somebody closes a door, slams a door. So when they're angry, they slam a door. Teach them the grace, teach them the courtesy, how to have those manners without judgment, and do it from an early age and model it yourself. You can help your child by acknowledging their feelings and giving them the language to express themselves. For example, I see you're frustrated because the block tower fell. What can we do to fix it? Instead of stop crying, it doesn't really matter. There's a big difference into the impact those words have on that child. Rather than solving problems for your child, you can encourage them to come up with solutions, because this builds resilience and critical thinking. And if they're struggling with a task, ask them, what do you think we could try next? You see, this allows them to approach challenges with curiosity instead of the frustration. And as a side note, where in your life are you asking yourself this question? Where are you getting frustrated when you don't need to? When curiosity could actually be the solution? And in Montessori classrooms and environments, they're calm. And that atmosphere is something you can bring into your home. You can create quiet, peaceful spaces where your child can engage in activities without the pressure of time or noise. Teaching mindfulness helps them become more aware of their emotions and surroundings. It increases their spatial awareness as they learn how to be in their body. Because so many adults in this society, probably you included, you're not in your body enough. You've disassociated. You're too scared to feel. Or maybe you're feeling too much and not thinking enough. But you as the adult are usually the problem. You as the adult, you are the one who needs to do the work. You can blame your children, but it starts with you. And so for your child to have emotional intelligence, you yourself need to have it too. And so what are you doing? What are you working on to get that yourself? And what's the long-term impact of raising a child with Montessori principles? Well, here is what Montessori graduates often demonstrate. They have a lifelong love of learning. Montessori children tend to become self-motivated learners because they've developed a genuine love for exploration and discovery. You see, there is a lot of successful entrepreneurs who have gone through Montessori education, even if it's only in the early years. That includes the founders of Google. That includes the founder of Amazon. Princess Diana used to work in a Montessori setting. Her boys went through a Montessori early years curriculum. The future king of England, or whatever it's called. Montessori is not just for the elite. Montessori, what it does, and the reason I'm giving you those examples, is because what it creates is innovation and this love and desire to explore and discover. You can give your child that too. Even if they can't access a Montessori environment, you can live a Montessori life. You can give it to them at home. What they've also, I guess Montessori graduates have come up is they've also shown to be empowered to take responsibility for their own learning and development. They know how to solve problems, to manage their time, and to take initiative. And as they get older, this can frustrate their teachers because their teachers themselves don't know how to solve problems or manage their time or take initiative. And I'm seeing this play out. I see this in action day in, day out. Currently, I'm working with a Cycle 4, which is ages 12 to 15 year teenagers, running an entrepreneurship program. And the vast difference between what I see with children at that age versus non-Montessori children, huge, huge difference. The willingness to solve a problem, the ability to make sense of time, linear time, and their want or desire to take initiative, to lead, is so much bigger and deeper than children who don't come from a Montessori background. Montessori children often display strong emotional intelligence as they've been taught from an early age to recognize and manage their feelings. We have no formal emotional intelligence curriculum in the national curriculum here in Australia. None. It is up to the teachers to decide whether they put it in or not. In many kindergartens across the country, you might learn about mad, glad, sad, basically. The zones of regulation. That's it. So unless the teacher has initiative and wants to teach more of it, they don't have access to it. It is not something they have to do. Imagine what it would be like, the world we would live in, if we had more emotionally regulated adults, emotionally regulated children. Seems simple, right? But our own decision makers don't have emotional intelligence. Therefore, it starts at the top and trickles down. Creative and critical thinking. And so because Montessori emphasizes hands-on learning and problem solving, children develop strong creative and critical thinking skills. They learn not to shy away from challenges, but to approach them with curiosity and confidence. And part of the reason that they can do this is because they are not fucking graded against their peers. They are not given an A or a D or a pass or a fail, the way in which most mainstream education does it. And so what this actually allows for is the ability to try something, fail, try something, fail, try something, fail. Because it's not really seen as fail, it's seen as learning, it's seen as curiosity. And they don't just have 1 week to try to learn that concept and then do it in a test 2 weeks later. They have a period of years in that classroom with a teacher for a period of time, more than 10 months, that allows them to be seen for who they are. Can you see how those simple things make a massive difference for children who go through a Montessori environment? And you can do these things at home. And so as we wrap up today's episode, I hope you found these Montessori secrets valuable. And with these things you can do at home, and they don't require a lot of money, if any at all. And so whether or not your child attends a Montessori school, these principles can have a profound impact on their development. See, remember, Montessori is about more than just an education. It's a philosophy for raising children who are independent, curious, and emotionally intelligent. It is a way of life. And if you're interested in learning more or applying these principles in your own home, please feel free to reach out or join Jason and I at our upcoming workshops, where we dive deeper into Montessori parenting and education as a whole. You can also join our free parent course. We have a free Montessori parent course online that you can join, no cost. And it will go through Montessori, how you can do Montessori at home. The link is in the show notes. You can click on that. It's completely free. So I want to thank you for listening, as always. And until next time, keep nurturing your child's love of learning, the independence, and so important, their emotional growth. Thank you for being here. I am Rebecca from I Am Education.